The BZ4X was, well, it wasn't Toyota's finest foot forward, and that's why today we are looking at the 2026 Toyota BZ Woodland. It's here to right the wrongs that were the BZ4X, and it's doing it with a little bit of style and a lot of personality. Now come take a look up front first. This is a pretty good looking front end, but it's simple. It's got almost this like bulldog front end here, very abrupt. I do like that you've got this light bar here. This is a little lower fascia that's a little bit different than the standard BZ and the new Toyota CHR, but otherwise it's a very unified design. Now down the side, this is where the Woodland really comes into its own. First off, you're gonna notice we've got these all-terrain tires here. These are nice and big and chunky Dunlops. Now, they are going to impact the range, but they're a no-cost option. You can get this car fitted with regular on-road tires if you want. And then we have the roof rails up top. That's how you know it's out there ready for adventure. And of course, it is a wagon. It's long. There's a lot of cargo space in there. And at the end at the rear, I think it's pretty good looking back here too. You've got the BZ badge, the BEV badge, so everybody knows it's an EV. This tiny little Toyota emblem in the center, a nice light bar spanning the whole width. Notably, no wide space letters. It doesn't say Toyota. I'm so sick and tired of that, but I love the Woodland badge back here. I think this is a really cool little detail. And I can't wait to see if it shows up on some other Toyota models. Toyota sells the new BZ Woodland in two different trim levels. So there's the base trim, which is called the BZ Woodland, and the BZ Woodland Premium. And believe it or not, we're driving the base trim. We don't often get to drive the least expensive model. And indeed, this one isn't what I would call inexpensive. As tested here, it's about $46,500. That's after the destination fee. But it also feels and looks nice. I mean, it doesn't seem like it has some inflated price tag just because it's an electric car. No, I mean, you've got really nice Softex synthetic leather seats. They're incredibly comfortable. I'm kind of blown away by how comfortable they are. And the materials are all just higher quality than I would have expected. First off, it looks like plastic up here, but it's not. It's a soft touch material. The door card is very well padded. It's only when you get below the belt line that you start hearing some of that hard plastic. Now the steering wheel feels good. It is wrapped in that Softex material, and it does sit a little bit low in your lap in order to see the driver instrument display, which sits up top on the dash. It's kind of a weird orientation there, but the upside is that it puts it really nicely in line with your vision, so it's pretty easy to check your speed, check your miles per kilowatt hour, because it's an EV, not miles per gallon, without taking your eyes too far off the road. I'm also really impressed by the steering in this car. We're starting to get into some twistier roads here, and the steering is really linear and direct. There's no like rubber bandedness or like numbness off center that you get in some EVs. It's really well weighted, and being an EV, the throttle response is excellent. I mean, it's instant. 375 horsepower in this car because it has dual motor, all-wheel drive as standard. The regular BZ, not the BZ Woodland, you can get that with a front-wheel drive, just single motor. Has less range, smaller battery, less horsepower, but in the BZ Woodland, it's always more powerful and always all-wheel drive, which is great. The standard battery in the BZ Woodland is a 74.7 kilowatt hour unit that'll get you 281 miles of range if you have the regular on-road tires. You can get a no-cost option for all-terrain tires, but I think I would avoid it because it knocks range down to 260 miles. That's like almost a 10% penalty for rubber that you're only going to use part of the time. You're also probably going to get a smoother ride, less noise if you go with on-road tires versus all-terrain tires. Now the charging is a big step forward in the BZ Woodland, but it's still not like the best in the market. It now charges at a rate of 150 kilowatts on a public fast charger. That's its peak rate. That's a big improvement, but you'll do better if you drive like a Hyundai Ioniq 5. It's still not an 800 volt architecture. The other good news though is that the onboard charger for like level 2 at home charging has also been upgraded. So that's now an 11 kilowatt unit, and you should get a full charge in about 7 hours if you plug it in at home. And of course, if you do need to charge on the road, you're not limited to just CCS chargers anymore. You can get an adapter for CCS chargers, but the standard charging infrastructure or interface is the North American Charging System, or NACS. We call it the Tesla plug. It means that you're going to be able to use Tesla's supercharger network with the Toyota BZ Woodland. So we do have paddle shifters to adjust the regenerative braking, and the paddle shifters themselves, they're not metal, they're like brushed plastic, but they have really nice action to them, good clickiness, kind of makes you feel like Lewis Hamilton, although they don't change gears, so really they don't do at all what Lewis Hamilton is doing with his paddle shifters. Other things you should know, so there's a button in here for X mode, and if you press it when you're going, I think below roughly 10 miles per hour, you're gonna see on the driver information display some pretty familiar branding if you're a Subaru owner, because this car was co-engineered with Subaru. The Trail Seeker is the Subaru version of it. You're going to be able to watch a video review of that vehicle on our channel pretty soon. But X mode with grip control is kind of Toyota's traction management supplement. So there's like deep snow and mud mode. Essentially, it allows the vehicle to kind of modulate the power delivery a little better, optimized for those conditions. I have a Subaru at home. I've actually used X mode this winter, so I can attest that the tech works. How it works with electric motors is probably going to feel a little different, but it's cool to have something like that on a vehicle that is ostensibly for more of an adventure lifestyle like the BZ Woodland is. Towing capacity comes in 3,500 pounds, which isn't enormous. Like a Honda Pilot will do 5,000 pounds, but it's certainly enough to pull, say, like a teardrop camper. So again, if you're buying the BZ Woodland because you want to go out and have an adventure somewhere, that elevated towing figure over the standard like 2,000 pounds that you might see in a similar vehicle, that's a nice to have. I spoke a little bit while driving about how I thought the seats were really comfortable and the interior materials were nice, but the rest of the interior deserves some extra attention. So first off, we have a big touch screen here. We'll get into that a little bit later. But then we have 2 wireless phone chargers, 2 of them. That's pretty fun. Then there's this space underneath the admittedly pretty chunky center console. This definitely eats into some of the interior's potential open air feeling. It doesn't feel too open air when you've got this big clunker right in the middle, but I do like that there's space underneath for, a little bit of storage, and it has kind of like a carpeted floor on it, so things won't just start rattling around. 2 cup holders here, and then this center console opens up in this direction and also in this direction, so that's pretty nifty. Now, the rear seat has decent space for an adult. You'll see me jumping back there shortly. And then we do have a big panoramic glass moonroof. I like that quite a bit. Overall, it's an incredibly comfortable vehicle, and it doesn't feel so dissimilar from like a Subaru Outback, but it has that Toyota vibe. It's distinctly a Toyota. Now, another nice thing about the Woodland is that it comes with all-weather floor mats that say Woodland with a nice little splash of orange there. I like that. Let's see if I can just toss that right back into place there. Yeah, honestly, I like sitting in here. I could feel myself driving this for a very long time, largely because of the supportive and well-cushioned seats, or I guess at least 280 miles at a time. Okay, so I might have undersold the back seat space a little bit because this seat is situated for me, a 5'10" adult. I suppose I'm an adult. And I have an enormous amount of leg room. Like my knees aren't even close to hitting here. We then have this cup holders, you know, center armrest. I always love when they don't just smack against the seat, so it's positioned there. We've got heated outboard seats, even in the base trim for the rear seat. That's pretty nice. And then 2 USB-C ports back here. This is not standard, but you do have map pockets behind both seats. Headroom also pretty good. And if I look in the trunk, honestly, it looks like a Subaru Outback's amount of space. This is a really spacious vehicle. And of course we have all-weather floor mat, full length of the floor back here. And being an EV, there's no big center hump tunnel. So I can sit just as comfortably in the middle. I guess I lose a little bit of headroom as I can over here. Now, this bit here is kind of a pretty cheap feeling plastic. It's actually like an astonishingly cheap feeling plastic, but it is the only piece of plastic in this car that has really like gotten my dander up. Everything else, even the obvious plastic on the center console up there, it has kind of a matte finish. It feels and looks nice. This is a step below, but I'm not going to let 12 inches of plastic in the back seat dissuade me. You know, this is still gonna get pretty high marks for interior comfort, fit, and finish. It's a well put together vehicle. We spoke a little bit about pricing earlier in this video, but I want to get into some more detail because the BZ Woodland, it starts at $46,750 after a $1,450 destination fee, and this one is $48,850. So let that sink in. Yeah, that feels a little expensive. Now, it's not outrageous because you do get a lot with this vehicle as standard, even in the base trim, and I think it looks really good. Plus, an EV, well, there's some upside to that. Depending on how you charge it, you could save some money on your fuel, and it gives you a lot of performance. I mean, 375 horsepower is a ton. I also think it looks really good. There just aren't a lot of vehicles left that have this sort of utilitarian style without looking like a big bulky truck. So let us know what you think. Did Toyota knock this one out of the park, or do they need to take the BZ Woodland back to the drawing board?